This is the KNOMADC 4x4 Sprinter van that you're renting today. I kind of want to give you a walkthrough of how the van works overall. So you can watch this video and then ask me questions later when we meet in person, or you can contact me by phone or by text during your trip. We'll start from the outside. First, you have this awning that I have set up right now. Basically, I'm going to show you how this gets tucked away, and then to put it back up, you do it in reverse. So you have these struts here on both sides. They kind of lock into place with this screw, this twist here. So when you unloosen it, these slide back in and clips in, like tightens up top here. And then what you want to do is to take the awning and crank it back in, because it allows it to cantilever above. And then the legs and the struts are no longer supporting as much. And then you take these guys, pop it in, slide it in till it clicks. The second side, you're doing the same way. Untighten, slide up, tighten back in, and these slide over here. Great. So now that you have it here, it's cantilevered, you're going to take this crank, and then you can see from here it just kind of cranks back in, and it's all manual this way. Just back in until it goes back into its resting place. And so to open it, it's just the opposite. You come back out, crank it, and you'll notice sometimes on this one it gets a little stuck at the top here. If you just give it a little push, it'll pop out, and then you can continue cranking it out, and then it's just a reverse process here. Cantilever to a certain point, and then you pull out the leg just like we had from before. So let's tuck this away. This is the little the crank piece that goes. This one I like to kind of tuck up inside on the pop top, but you can put this anywhere in the van. We have the 2-burner propane cooktop. So you have the valves open on the cooktop. In order to start these, you have these 2 valves that are off right now. You turn them over to light, and you push down on the light, and then you hit the starter, and then it's on. Same thing for the other side. Turn it to light, go down, push it on. It's good. And that's it. That's your cooktop. Turn this off, turn them off, and you're good to go. And then just remember always to close the valve on the propane gas on the tank when you're not using it, and obviously leaving it completely on when you're using it. And that's it. So just another feature on the van on the top, you can kind of see these orange kind of tracks up top there, and then the pop tops up there. There's a lock on there. The key to them is on the van to unlock it. You pull that off, those orange tracks, you can slide them into your tires if you get stuck in mud or decide to just use some traction and stuff like that. But if you have any issues, like, you can text me and it goes, but that's another option with it. These drop down because it's a raised van. When you close the doors, these recess back in. There is a way to turn those things off, but we can go that later on the other side. We have swivel seats. Both of them are swivel seats. Just kind of pull this back and forth. The next lever for the swivel is on this side. You kind of tuck this. You have to make sure that the seat is clearing the side here. So when you hit this thing, the seat can swivel and be clear. And then you can adjust it back from here, back here. The main driver's seat also swivels, but the issue is obviously that the bathroom's in the way, so that doesn't really swivel for that. So you have this here. What I like to do, this is another little piece right here. You unbutton here, pull this up. This kind of pops into place here. Then you have like a nice sitting space to kind of sit your laptop on here, sit, eat, do whatever. This also double functions as more counter space for the cooktop area when you're cooking. So when you want to pop this back out here, up the hinge, and there's a little button clip on the back side over here, just to hold it in place when you're driving. So that's the swivel seat here. You kind of pull out here. On the outside here, you also have this pull down kind of area just for when you're outside cooking. Place things in here for storage. Goes back up, and just a magnet goes in here. This step over here On the inside here, there's a little compartment on the side. I like to kind of tuck shoes or little things in there, but just make sure you don't leave stuff in there on when you end your trip. So let's walk to the back. This, on the outside here, there's 2 gray water tanks for the sink and also for the shower. And so what those are just the water goes into the compartments, one for the sink, one for the shower. The one for the sink, the way you release it is down here. It's a 2-part system. You unscrew here and then you just slide this thing out and water will come out when the thing is full. I recommend, you can dump this into dump stations. Also, if you're on kind of dirt or ground and stuff like that and you haven't had water sitting in your gray tank for too long and it's not contaminated, it's okay to dump it on the dirt. I feel like the earth is probably the best filtering thing you can do, and as long as you're not putting anything toxic in the sink, which you shouldn't be anyways. But otherwise, you can take this. There's also a hose that you can connect to here, and this can run into a dump tank system on a typical RV station. So, but that's how you open it. And to close it, you're going to slide this and then screw this back in here. So the same thing on the other side. There's another gray water tank underneath the shower. I'll show you that later. But there's 2 separate systems for each. So yeah. So you screw this back in. Good to go. All right. So on the outside here, also there's this little porch light. It has 2 settings. One up on the switch on the inside is kind of a yellow light, and then down there's going to be a brighter white light, and I'll show you that switch on the inside later. It actually is labeled porch light on the outside, but there's a good light to turn on in the middle of the night you want to see on the outside. So let's move on to the back. So we have a 2-bike rack system. So if you're going to be carrying bikes, the way to set these in is that you have to pull this lever up and open this up. You basically tuck your wheels into this base here, and then to lock it back in, you lock the wheels back in this way. And so obviously you have the second one that goes like this too. So you have 2 sets. These are also locks back here that you can put in between your spokes in case you want to, basically deter people from taking your bikes. The key for that is actually this one here that doesn't have anything on it. It just says 110 on it, and that does each of these locks. So you kind of pop it out on this here, and you can unlock it that way. It's just a turn spindle. So like those are the bike racks. You got to lift your bike obviously up to put it in, but that works out well. And now with this Aluminess box, you also have another storage system with the key that says Eberhard. You're going to basically put this guy here, turn it, this one pulls out, twist, and it opens to this, and then you have access to the storage base inside here. What we have is a kind of a host of different things in here. There's a little picnic blanket here that you can kind of use for tabletops. There's a bunch of bistro lights if you wanted to put lights on. Leftover kind of fire starter stuff. And then there's leveling blocks. These are basically in case you're on an unlevel surface on the van and you need to straighten out because it's kind of strange sleeping in a van that's tilted. These are basically like little Lego blocks that you can set up however you need to, and they just raise you can roll your wheel on top of it to level it out. You can stack them however you need to drive on it, and then that's what you have. So they're just kind of leveling blocks in. Hopefully you can find a kind of level surface. Most campgrounds are more of a level surface, but this helps you to level things out. So let's chuck this thing back in. Also in that storage box, you kind of have some other just random stuff on there. Here, let's see, you have a white hose. This would be your hose that you would be using to connect fresh water. Then you have the gray hose. So you can use this hose to the gray water tanks I was mentioning before to connect to, and then run it over to a dump tank. So freshwater hose, and I'll show you how to connect the freshwater in a little bit. And then this gray water tank. So also within here, I have a shovel, an axe, and this is an extension cord. And then there's some trash bags, extra trash bags and stuff we can use. that's it for the storage. You're welcome to kind of store whatever you need to in the meantime. People put firewood and stuff in there too, but it gives you a little more storage space. Okay, we'll lock this up and let's open up the back. So probably the trickiest thing for the van to kind of deal with is dealing with how to open this up. It's kind of a two-part kind of system. So it's a swing rack for both arms, and to open it, you can use your hand or you can use your foot to push this down, and then there's a second latch here that you click down, and then the swings open. So it's a two-part system to unlock. Then when this opens up, you have a pin, and both sides are identical. You have a pin in here that's sitting here. In order to hold these doors open, you pull this pin out of this slot and slide it into this slot here. Then you have this rack here sitting that's all held. Okay. So when you're not using it, obviously you slide this one back out and pop this guy back in. For in this case, we want to keep the doors open. We'll keep this here, slide it back in, and then we have a second rack on the right side. So the same thing. It's just a repeat. It's a pop in, and then the second latch you click, and then the swings open. To close both of these, you just want to give a good hard, nice shove, and you can feel it. Kind of pull on the rack, and it's nice and sturdy. But that just closed it. So we're going to open this back up. Slides in here, good sturdy, and then we got to open to the back. Okay, so now you have the back here. The main thing about the van really is we're going to show you how to connect the water, how to fill the water. You have underneath this cabinet set, there's a 24-gallon water tank that comes fresh and filled when you pick up the van. You don't really need to do anything under here mostly. The one thing you need to do is that when the water goes empty, in order to fill the water tank, there's a one step you need to do. You need to come to this valve here. It's a simple stop valve. Right now it's closed, and that would be in the 90 position. When you go to this valve, you turn this to the 180, and it's straight up and down. This allows the port on the outside, when you fill it with water, to fill this tank up. So you would turn, like I said, it's closed normally all the time. The only time you open this up is to fill this tank. So to fill the tank, you connect on the outside. Port's open, and you have on the side here, open up this port, you have a filter that goes into here. This goes in over to this water connection. So you unscrew this. This only connects one way because this is a female and this is the male. This one screws in like this. Make it all tight, and this is the water filter. And then you're going to take your outside hose, or if you need to use the hose that I provided in the storage box, and then just connect into here. You screw this in. Also, when you're doing this, just make sure that the water pump on the inside of the van is turned off. I'll show you that switch later. You don't want that because the pump will get going. You'll hear it going if you're trying to do it. So once you connect this, then you would just turn on the hose for the water. This fills in. Because that valve is open, then the water is going to fill into that tank. And that tank, it'll fill up, and when it's done, it's going to start kind of dripping out the bottom. You'll hear the water dripping out the bottom. That's when the tank is completely full. When that starts dripping out the bottom, it'll start flowing. If you don't turn it off, you'll hear it. Then turn off the water, right? Then you go close the valve, which I'll show you in a second, and then you can just undo this, unclip this, the filter, and then this goes back into the space over there, and then I'll show you how to close. Then you just close that valve that I was showing you before on the inside underneath the seat. Okay, so always keep this filter to the side here, and like I said, then you come back in here, back into this again, and this valve, which is now at 180, you should turn it back to the 90 position. This is closed, tank is full, ready to go. Okay. So along with that, as I said, the filter goes back into here. I just want to let you know that also there's an outdoor shower here. This is the hose for it. This little contraption here, you open this up. This guy slides in here, and then you, sorry, other way, this way, and then you turn it. And you can see the blue is off, so this would be off. And you turn this on, it shows the water, it goes all the way to red to hot water too, if you have the hot water going. And so this just works, and if the water pump is on in this, and you put it, it sprays water. It really is kind of rinse off your shoes, your feet, maybe your dog and stuff like that. You can use it as an outdoor shower because I do have curtains that go on these magnetic tips, but it's really in the summertime you can use it. I haven't used it that much. I use the indoor shower if I use it at all. Okay, so that's the outdoor shower. Unclip this. This guy lets you slide back into this space. You put your filter back in, and that is pretty much it for the water supply. You can close this up. So you have these two storage compartments, one on this side and then one on this side. This one, which is another storage compartment, have a towel just to wipe things down. Here, this is your fuse box for the electrical. The only thing to know about this really is that these fuses don't go out, they're all plugged in here. The only thing that you may need to ever turn on if you ever want to plug in to an RV site, which you don't really need to do in this van because everything's very self-sustainable. We have solar panels, the battery gets charged when you drive the van. I've never plugged in, I literally have the wrapper still on the 240 volt. But if you do plug into an RV site, you basically have this 240 volt plug on the outside next to the water, which I'll show you. You plug into there, and the only thing you turn off, and it says it here, is that do not switch this 20 amp breaker on unless the van is connected to an external 110 power source. So it's this breaker. Otherwise, you would switch this on, and then when you're plugged in, that's how the power gets run directly from shore power. In the meantime, you don't touch anything on this unless a fuse has blown out, but I haven't had to change a fuse the entire time that I've had this van. So it should be good. A lot of the currents in this van doesn't draw a lot of electricity, so it shouldn't be an issue. But that's just to let you know the panel is there. So close this up. Have this here. Just a couple other things. If for some reason the power in the van completely gets shut off, you can't open the power top, which I'll show you later, or the lights aren't working. This is the shut-off valve for all the power. Sometimes people put bags in here and it gets tight and it shifts and it pops this thing out like that, and then you turn it off. Just check this if the power goes out, and you can basically just switch this back on and go to on, and then everything should be fine, but that happens. Other than that, we have magnetic covers throughout the van. These are the back ones. I keep these on when I drive. I kind of like to put them at halfway like this and have it stick, just so you can see out the back. But it's up to you how you like to drive. You can also keep it closed. Obviously this blacks out everything at nighttime when you're sleeping. I have a full set of covers for every window, the front windows, the two side front windows, and the side windows, and I'll show you that later. The only differences in the covers is these side windows here. And these side windows are just blinds that slide up and down. You have a one white blind, and then you have another one that's the full blackout blind. So 2 points, use two hands to kind of get level when you open and close it. And then your windows here are slide windows. There's a little switch lock right here. And then you just slide this open. And then also the screen can open too if you want more air that goes. And that's obviously mirrored on both sides. So this closes. And before we get totally to the inside, I just want to show you something on the outside first. So the lights also too are these little switches. To turn these on, you just pump these in with your hand, push in and out. And they're all LED, kind of low voltage lighting. And these are kind of throughout the whole van, and also on the top above. But yeah, these lights are all just here for you to do. Okay, so let's take a look on the outside before we get inside. This would be where you would plug in to shore power at an RV site. The plug's on the inside. I'll show you. It's underneath one of the seats. You would plug into here, and this would plug in to the shore power of an RV site. I've never used it. Just like I said, the power is pretty sustainable. I've gone 3-4 days as long as I have the solar panel running and the van running. I've never had to use this, but you have the option to use it if you need shore power. Along with that here, this is for cable video. Never used it either. I think everything now, I have an Android TV inside that you just use if you have Wi-Fi. But if you needed to connect, you're able to connect to cable TV at an RV site, you can use that too. One other thing I kind of did not mention about the water was that if you are at an RV site and you want to not use your freshwater tank and you want to use the shore water, you would connect the hose to this at an RV site, keep the valve closed because you're not filling the water tank, and you would just turn on the water, and that would pressurize all the water systems inside. So you don't need to turn on your pump, it just pressurized from the water from the outside. That was just a second thing that I forgot to mention about the water. So that's it for the outside here. I'll do a little walk around here to show you the propane gas, and then just a little bit things about in the gray water tank. So on this side here, obviously you have the ladder. You can climb up here. You can sit on top. There's a perforated deck on top of the van, but the top needs to be down. So when the top's down, you can sit on top of that, put your chairs up. When it's up, it does carry 200 pounds, but just don't sit on it as a person. It's really just meant to hold kind of storage stuff that weighs under 200 pounds. So here you have this is the exhaust for the diesel heater, and I'll show you how to turn that on the inside. When the diesel exhaust is running, this thing will pump out fumes. It's not really smoky unless you haven't been running this diesel heater for a while, but it's just nice not to have this thing if you're next to a tent or somebody and stuff. They'll be taking in diesel exhaust. So just let you know that's what that's for. The next thing to know, this is a propane gas system for the cooktop. In order to open up and to use the gas, you need to open up this tank here. So on the side here, there's one knob here, and it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So all the way to the right is closed. When you want to cook, you need to turn this thing all the way to the left. We'll leave it open so I can run the propane when we're inside. But when you're done using it, when you're driving, I would recommend closing it. It's just a safety thing. You don't really have that much of an issue in terms of like carbon monoxide and stuff, because there is a carbon monoxide detector in the van, but you just close it. It's just a safety hazard kind of thing. So we'll leave it open for now, just so that I can show you how to use the propane gas. And then the last thing that we have to do to show you is this is the gray water tank for the shower. And just like I mentioned before, just like the sink, it's unscrew and then you slide the valve out and the water will come out for the shower tank. Okay, so back onto this side of the outside, there's another automatic step just to show you how this works. So when you close the door, like I was mentioning before, this thing will retract on its own. And if you want to open it up, and then it drops down, there is a switch to turn this off. And if for some reason you are off-roading and there's a big rock or you don't want the things to drop down, you can turn this off by switching this guy on. This switch right here. And this will turn on, the lights on. Now, this is disabled. So if it's down or if it's up, it won't go either down or up. So when you close the door now, this thing will just sit. And that's just disabling it. You probably don't need to do that unless you're going over some very rocky terrain. Probably like 95% of people don't use it in terms of it, and I barely use it unless I'm doing some kind of four-wheel driving. So usually I just keep this thing off and then allow this thing to retract just as normal as it does now. So on this side, both sides have these little pockets on the inside here. Kind of switch this, turn each one. On this side, what I have in here is basically a flare. It's electrical flare. It's battery operated, so you just turn this on if you need to stop on the side of the road. There's some batteries in here, and then there's a first aid kit on this side. On the opposite side, on the same compartment on the passenger side door, and we'll walk over there, to have a first aid kit, some mosquito repellent, some sunscreen, things like that on the other side too as well, and a bear flare that we bought in case you need to use it on any kind of bears coming around. You're gonna have to look up bear flare, how to use it, but it's there. So this is the other side, and I'll mention the stuff that's in here. Yep, So you have the first aid kit, some sunscreen, some mosquito repellent, and these are the bear flares. So, all right. Okay, let's hop inside the van. Okay, as you can see, this is a pop-top van, and so I have the pop-top up right now. I'll show you how to open and close it in a minute, but in the meantime, let's kind of go over what we have in the van. You have a shower in here and a toilet compartment. Yeah, so here you have the toilet. This is a cassette toilet, so it's not a black water system. It's basically a vacuum sealed compartment below that when you use it, you have to dump it out if it ever gets fully filled. So if you look down here to use this, it's a regular toilet. You open this up, do your business. The compartment is sealed right now. This activates the water, this little blue button, and then to flush it, you have this slide right here, and you pull this slide, and it dumps in, and then you close it again, obviously to create, so you can contain smells and odors coming out of there. So, and that's it. Microwave here, and a pretty decently sized fridge, and a freezer up top. And down below is your storage. You have bowls, cups, kind of slide everywhere. There's some leftover stuff in here that we've kept, some storage bags and everything else, and some spices. You can use as house storage if you need to. On the lower level here is more cups, some Tupperware, and then you have some Yeti wine cups and coffee cups. The system in here, because we're kind of limited on space for the cookware, is basically a camping cookware system. So just to show you how this works, you have this pan that goes with this, and you have a, for people familiar with trekking and camping stuff, it's all compact stuff. So you have this is your bowl, a strainer, there's some extra cups in here that you can use too as well. It's kind of all in this compact system. But to use this, say for this pot or this pan, you have handles. And this is used, obviously, like I said, for trekking, for people kind of on the go. So I provided with two handles. These are the ones from GSI. They kind of open up, and then on each of these pans, you kind of put on the side, and you clip in like this. So then you have this handle like this. The handle also goes like into the pot exactly the same way. I bought two handles just in case you want to cook two things on this two cooktop burner. So handle folds back in, this stays in here, so this goes back. I also have provided another pan. This has a slightly different handle system, but it's in here as well. And this one just goes, you squeeze it and put these in, and then you have the handle here. It's all good like this. That's it. Like I said, people familiar with camping will know kind of these handles and how this all works. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's pretty simple. So put this in here. Inside here we have an electric kettle, kind of all your silverware kind of labeled in, and then basic spatula, measuring tools, things like that, and some tongs. I've also put in the remote inside here for the TV, which I'll show later, which is an Android TV. You can connect by Bluetooth if you have Wi-Fi connection, or if you're using the Starlink Wi-Fi connection. And this is the remote for the radio. And you can manually do it from the front dashboard too, but this allows you to just control the volume from here. So that's it for this. Underneath here, this is a little retractable trash can. Underneath here, there's a little bit more storage. You can put whatever you want in there. Then on this side here, paper towels, toilet paper, things get bumped around a little bit in here. There's dish soap, cleaning soap. There's actually a little small vacuum cleaner you can plug into as well. And then a little bit more stuff for storage. There's also this white manual for the van. So It's very technical. If you want to pop in there and take a look and read about how to get something to work, you can read it here too. There's also a kind of a sweep, a broom, kind of a dustpan for you to use too as well. So let's put this stuff back. Okay, so on the side here, just to show you, there's a few switches. They are labeled. This one turns on the radio and the TV when you are parked and the van is off. So if you want to turn on the radio, there's a really nice sound system here that can connect to CarPlay and Android. You can turn this on and play music on it when you're relaxing. Right next to it here is the water pump, and this needs to turn on. Obviously you want the water to be pumping from the freshwater tank system. So when this is on, the shower will work, the sink will work now that the pump's on, and also that back outdoor shower that I showed you from before. So that'll work as well. So when you're not using it, I turn the water pump off just because sometimes it cycles and it runs, especially at night. Sometimes it might wake you up. So I turn that off. I guess the rule of thumb for most things on the camper van, because you're limited on water and power, is you just want to keep things off if you can. It's just a kind of a good kind of rule of thumb. So over here too, get some plugs, another car adapter plug that you want to go into, and this is the HDMI that connects to the TV. But really, now that I have the Android TV, you don't really need HDMI anymore. You can stream everything from your phone or connect directly to the TV. So you don't need to really use an HDMI. So from there, look, this is back to the lights. I want to show you. They mentioned the outdoor light from before that had those switches. This is the light. So if you go switch it up, it's the really soft yellow light, and then down is the bright white light, and the middle is off. And then a major component is how to turn on the power. So the van itself has a regular battery system for the car, for the van itself when you're driving it. Then on top of it, you have two batteries that use for basically inverter power. So basically to turn on the plugs, and also to turn on what's it called, the microwave. So if you want to charge everything from a 120 volt rather than the van, then you would turn on this inverter, and this is the only switch. So everything else on this panel, don't worry about it. The only thing you need to turn on is on and off on the inverter. So when you click this, this will say on, and it says inverting. You'll hear the microwave kind of turn on too as well. That's how you know it's on. And then also these green lights power inverter on. When this is on, your outlets will all work and the microwave works. You can see it here. So then this does good. Standard microwave. It says power failure because it was just turned off, but then your microwave works. So that's for the inverter. You also have a plug on the outside you can use as well. So when you're not using it, I would turn this thing off. And then it says off, and you're going to go. It's just the batteries for this that's separate from the car always charge from the solar panels, and also charges when you're driving. So any reason that you have everything's out of power, you can turn on the van and idle it or drive on it, and you're going to be charging the battery. So just for any reason you're at low power. And to tell kind of where your power is at is based on this thing here. So this is the SAMP solar. You don't need to touch anything on here. It's just telling you when these bars are going across, that means that the solar power is charging. And 11.9 volts is a little bit low, but as you drive it, that stuff will charge. So you want this to sit around 12 to 13. If it gets down to 10.8 to 9, then you know you're running low on power. But you should be good, like I said, if you're driving every day and you're sitting in the sun. So nothing you need to do to touch on this. Just let you know that the thing is running. At nighttime when the solar's not on, this whole thing will shut off. So like I said, don't really need to touch anything on here. Don't really touch anything on here except for to turn this on for the inverter to turn on the outlets and the microwave. Okay, so over here, TV. So this strap, kind of Velcro strap, kind of pulls out over, and this just tightens it obviously when you're driving. So you have to do this, and there's another clip on the side here, down over here. So if you pull this down, then this releases a TV. This has a swivel arm, kind of goes this way. Like I said, you can connect Bluetooth to it, it's Android TV, and with that, and when you want to close it back up, locks in this, and I take this strap, this ties back in here, and double back on the Velcro. That's like nice and snug. Cool. Okay. So one last main thing on side here for the interior system here is the heating system. So this doesn't do anything. Don't touch this. This is just part of the system, but you don't touch it. It's really the only thing you're focusing on is this part and this part. So this and this. Right now, both switched on as furnace and hot water, but the system is off. When you turn the system on, you'll see the light go on, then this is running. Furnace and hot water. What it is the diesel system, hot water system and heater. So it's pulling diesel from the actual van itself into here underneath this. There's this little heater piece here. It'll heat the water and also start running this that pumps out hot air as well. So what determines this on this comes down to the thermostat. So when you turn the system on, the furnace is on, then you're running the heat. If you just want hot water, you can turn this off and it just does hot water. If you turn on the furnace, it's always going to pump out heat, and it's also always going to do the hot water just because of the way the system works. So I just keep both on to make it easy to adjust the fan and the size you have. 2 is the highest fan, 1's the lowest, and then the one in the middle is intermittent. In the end, what's powering and what will turn on this fan is the thermostat, and that is this part. So when the system's on, you have this thermostat. Right now, it says that the top one says that in the van it's 72 degrees. The thermostat level is below. So this is saying, hey, we want to heat this at 70 degrees, but because it's 72 degrees inside the van, the heater's not going to turn on. The fan's not going to kick on because of that reason. So to adjust it though, say whatever the temperature is, you need to hold down on either the up or down arrow, and then the blue one is going to turn white. And when it's white, then you can adjust the heat. So I can turn this up to 75, up to 90, whatever you want to, and just go up to it. But 70 is usually a comfortable temperature to sit. So you sit there, you let it sit for a bit, and it'll turn back to blue, and then that'll set your thermostat. You don't need to turn this power button off and on, because like I said, the main button to turn the heating system is on the system here. So don't touch this. It's really just this to adjust the thermostat up and down. You have to hold it for it to turn to white and then adjust it. And then to turn the system off and on, you're just clicking on the system. So in this case, obviously we're going to turn it off. You just turn this off, and that'll just provide. I've done 0 degree weather and really cold weather, and it's kept this van at 70, 75 degrees. So it's really nice. And it only uses about a gallon on the whole night at 0 degrees to keep the van warm on the inside. So it's very, very efficient. The one thing you need to make sure though is that because it's pulling diesel from the van, if you get down to a quarter tank, it won't run. So you need to make sure that the gas tank is filled at least past a quarter tank. I like to give it half or full if you can, just for the factor that you want to make sure you have the heater to turn on if you're in a really cold place. So this is the beds up top. You can sleep 2 up top. You can also sleep down the bottom. I just want to show you how this bed kind of pulls out. What it is that on the back end here, you have a clip. The clip here and one here. And this unloosens this piece. And then you have this loosen out. This thing just slides forward like this. And this is the back headrest, which I'll show you in a little bit. But this goes down in here, and then it slides over like this. Out. So the easiest way to do this really though is because you have both sides you need to do. You want to unclip here. And this is your tabletop, which I'll go over in a little bit. Slide this out. This piece goes down too, just like the other side. The easiest way to do it, as I was mentioning, is to keep this guy like this and do it kind of like a teepee. So then it pushes both out on each side, down like this, and then you got your bed. On the back side here, there are these little trays. You saw them probably before, but I didn't mention them. So you unbutton this thing here, and it flips up, and then this thing props underneath it and hold it up top. And they have another tray on this side too. And this is for the headboard here. This is so that when you're sleeping with your head on the end back here, you don't have a hole in the space. So if you see when you close the doors, you keep keep that little space here, give a little more headroom too as well. So that's it for this to fold out. I have also another foam mattress that I put on top of here. So if you're sleeping down below, you're sleeping 4 people, I recommend the foam mattress. It just makes it much more comfortable. It's a pretty solid surface. Like some people just might not be cushiony enough for them. But this, you can sleep on this as well. So just, so let's convert this back. Put these trays down, and then to pull it back up, you're going to lift this one up, take these head pieces, clip them back in, so you have 1, 2, like I said, and both sides are exactly the same. Slide this bottom piece back in. Same thing on this. Probably better just to slide it in first and do it. And then just clips it in. Just turn the clip. And then the back one too. And then you're back to the seat. Okay, so real quick underneath here. There's snow chains underneath here. There's a plug that I mentioned before. That is the one to plug in for shore power, which I've never used. The other thing I keep under here is a stand for the table. And this is the platform. And sometimes I just keep this out. It's just underneath for now. This is the platform. It sits down here. You can shift this how you need to. And inside here is the poles to set this up. Simple. Slides in here. This was the table that I had behind that other seat. This slides in the hole here, and there you go. You got a table. That's it. The other thing inside here, which I've never used but you can use it, is another piece, and this is for if you're going to use this table on the outside, you can kind of tripod it on the ground and then slide it in the same way. But I have not used this. Just using here, and then to pull this out, slide. I tuck it behind here. It's a good spot. Pop out this. It's in. And then just tuck this away. And this can go back in here too. And that's the bed. And the table. And so there is also a pop top up top here. This is the bed I prefer to sleep in warmer weather, just because you have panoramic views up top. Obviously with this lifted top, we have about 8.5 feet in here. It feels really nice. To drop this bed down, you have this one panel back here. This kind of lifts up. It's a great place also to store stuff when you're kind of moving around. And then you have the second half of the bed here. There's a hook here, and there's 2 hooks up here. So if you look at these basically, it's the same thing on the other side. It's just this hook that goes around. So I like to unhook the back one first. It's the same thing that we showed you there. To unhook this over here, and then I like to drop the back part down in between the rails, and then unhook the front ones. This slides in, and then you have the bed up top. You have to just kind of climb up on here, step up in there, and go from there. All these zip down. They all have open zips, and then another zip to open the screen. And then above here, there's blackout shades where you unbutton here, and these just roll down like this. So you can black out all the way around. And there's a nice memory foam, comfortable up there. And then there's also push button lights up top there, just like these guys that go like this. Okay. Yeah, and that's it for the top. To bring this thing down, just to let you know, it's all automatic, so it's not manual. There are 2 buttons here. There's one here, right here, that does the lights. That's just the lights from above. But right here on the next, it does not label, but this is the elevator button. So obviously pushing up brings it up. To bring it down, you hold the button down. You can hear the mechanism. It brings it down on kind of hydraulics. and this all slowly comes down. The one thing to keep in mind about this is that if you're on a slight tilt, you just need to make sure that this piece, because usually you can have this guy, like I said, if this guy's up, you want to make sure this piece is within the rails when it comes down. So just to show you how that looks. So this hangs back up, and you can see how the half of the bed is kind of hanging. If you're on a tilt, it's not going to fit the rails well. So if we continue to drop down this, holding down this switch, and this comes down, just make sure this piece here is going to fit within the rails, or it's just going to have a problem coming down. So now we're closing up shop. As it fits in the rails nicely, and there you go, and now the top is down. You have 3 latches, and they're exactly the same kind of latches. 2 up front here. The mechanism is kind of a pull open, and then this hooks underneath. You clip it back down, right? And then this guy just slides in here. You push the button to kind of go in, and then that kind of locks in place there. And then the similar one on this side. Open latch, clip down, and you'll feel it snugly kind of close, and then you push in this button here to slide back in. In the back, the 3rd latch is a little bit more complicated. It's the same latch, but they built a hole. That's why you're wondering why there might be a hole in the top of the bed. It's so that you can put your hand in here and clip it in and give you space to kind of close it and latch it up. That's it, comes in, and that's it. And so now we're locked up and you're ready to get driving. There is a little compartment in here. It's a little Velcro kind of hidden compartment on the inside here. If you want to tuck valuables and stuff in here in the van, it's a really good place to hide things. And then you can close it back up. And then this little side bed shift right here, I'll shift it back like this, and then no one will really know to hop in there. You can hide like wallets, passports, things like that inside there. And that's it for the... Hey, so I'm gonna kind of go over here about the Starlink, the Mini that we have in here. There's a few options. This is a satellite and the router. You can literally just shove this thing right on top of the dash, and as long as you have basically pointing toward the sky, while it's better to be to north, you're still going to get pretty good megabytes. This is up to 300 megabytes per second. If you have it angled directly, you can get up there. If you have it kind of just hitting some of the sky, you're still going to get like 150 to 200. So you can turn this on while you're driving if you're in an area where there's no signal. All it is you have a plug that goes into the power source here. It plugs in here, and then this other plug here on this, you have 2 different types of power. This one here you can plug into the power on this little plug here, and it just goes into an outlet. You need to turn on the inverter for the 120 volt for the plugs, and plug this in, and then this thing will fire up. And then I'll give you the router name and the password, which is typically enjoy your trip on all lowercase. This is KNOMADC Wi-Fi 1 on there, and then when this is turned on and plugged in for a bit, you'll have Wi-Fi. That's it. So that's the one way you can power this thing. Another way you can do it if you're driving is there's another plug inside here, like this cable. This one plugs into, you can also do USB. This plugs into the 12 volt charger, like the cigarette charger. So you can plug this in here and then plug this end into the port. So that's another way you can charge it too as well. If you're gonna plug it into the 12 volt charger, I recommend the car be running. It's a good time, then you can leave this on the dash. I would not run it off the battery from the car when you're kind of sat still, because you're stand still, because basically you're just draining the battery. And this doesn't draw a lot of battery on it, but it's still just one of those things you don't want to drain your battery and you can't start the car. And it doesn't go quick, but it's just one of those slow things like leaving a light on in your van. And that's it for the Starlink. So if you have that on your add-on and stuff like that, you'll have Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere as long as you have access to the sky. That's it. All right, let's hop into the van here, the console. So the van itself is, the key and stuff is the typical old school analog van. It's not a push to start. Two things with the keys, just let you know. This is the main key. Really, I use this one all the time for obviously turning on the van. There's an unlock and lock button if you want to unlock and lock it without the alarm. Maybe you're in a campsite, you don't want to use the alarm. To lock it and lock out the alarm, you could just use this one only. And this is unlock and lock, and that'll start the alarm, turn the alarm on, and then the alarm off, and unlock the van. If you turn the alarm on and you unlock it with this guy, the alarm's gonna go off, and it just is kind of an embarrassing thing, just keep going off. So always just use this or whatever, and this one to kind of lock it and lock it with the alarm. So the van, it's kind of got an interesting shifter, but it's automatic. The parking brake, old school truck parking brake, pulls up, the brake light's on. Sometimes the light, even if you release and push it down, it won't go off. What you need to do is you have to kind of pull it up. People that used to have trucks would remember this. You have to pull it up and then push down. As long as the parking brake's off, the light's off, then you're good to go. Other than that, you have a couple things here. This knob right here is the base for the sound system. And then here is the four-wheel drive. So for the four-wheel drive, to turn on the four-wheel drive, you just press this button. And this switches on, and then up here, on here, it says four-wheel drive active. To turn it off, you hit the button again. Now, because this van sometimes you need to shift this thing when you hit that button to turn it off again into gear. And then you turn the gear to reverse, neutral, whatever, and then this turns off. You'll know the four-wheel drive active is off because it doesn't say four-wheel drive active. And so that's it. The one next to it here is for climbing. If you're going up really steep stuff, probably not gonna have to use it. The four-wheel drive does come in handy in snow and sand and things like that, but that's pretty much it. So it goes in the park. You'll see in here when you go into reverse, you actually have a backup camera here too as well. You can turn on this backup camera from the console if you're driving just by holding down menu. You can turn the camera. So if you're driving, you can't see out the back, you want to turn on the highway, you can. Hold down menu again, and you're done off. So this has an Android Auto system and a Carplay. For some reason, the Carplay on this van does not work as well. It doesn't connect as well. So Bluetooth connects for some reason, but it doesn't connect to Carplay. Android Auto is great. What we purchased though is this dongle here that goes into the USB, and you connect to it on your Bluetooth. This says like smart dongle on there, and after that, the Carplay pops up right away on the thing. Some from here, you can have really nothing to really know. There is also an internal navigation system if you want to use this as a map, but you can use your phone, obviously, with the Carplay, Android Auto. And the only other thing you really need to know about this also is that if for some reason you have the TV turned on and you want to have the sound system going through, the TV going through the sound system, on this panel, you're going to go to this menu here, slide over to AV in. You click AV in, that's on. Now everything on the TV will start playing through the system if you're having like a movie night or things like that. So that's it for the console, and that's it for the front of the van. And that's it for the van. Thanks for renting the van. If you have any questions on your trip, just text and call me, and I'll be happy to help at any time.